So our last section on this topic is biogeochemical cycles. At the end of these slides, there's going to be some videos. Make sure that you watch those videos. So when we break down the word biogeochemical cycle, we've got bio for living, geo of earth, and then chemical for physical substances. A biogeochemical cycle is going to recycle elements and nutrients between living and non-living reservoirs. The examples that we're going to look at today is the water cycle, carbon cycle, and the nitrogen cycle. The key thing to remember is that all the nutrients that we have on Earth is all we're ever going to have. They're going to get recycled. Life thrives on Earth because of these biogeochemical cycles. The first cycle is the water cycle. So this is how water moves through the biosphere. So it's going to precipitate onto the land. So this is through rain. It's then going to run off either into various bodies of water or it's going to seep into the soil. When it seeps into the soil, plants are going to take in that water and then water will return to the atmosphere through evaporation or through the plants. For the carbon cycle, this is how we are going to move carbon from different reservoirs. Now, there are many different reservoirs for carbon. A source is anything that releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. A sink is anything that's going to absorb and hold on to CO2 from the atmosphere. Now, CO2 is a greenhouse gas, so that means it's going to trap heat in the atmosphere. Now, normally over time, our sources and our sinks are going to balance out. However, in today's atmosphere, our CO2 levels are going to climb. And this is due to the burning of fossil fuels, the destruction of forests. So this means that we have more sources and less sinks of CO2. So overall, our CO2 levels are increasing. CO2 traps heat in the atmosphere, and this is going to lead to global warming. So there's going to be a video at the end that talks a little bit more about this. The carbon cycle is going to include photosynthesis, respiration, it's going to include CO2 released by volcanoes, it's going to include human activities such as cutting down forests and burning fossil fuels. And this is what the carbon cycle looks like. So plants are going to take in CO2 as part of photosynthesis. Organisms are going to put CO2 into the atmosphere as part of respiration. And then when we burn wood and fossil fuels, that's also going to add carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Now for the nitrogen cycle, this is the recycling of nitrogen between the atmosphere, bacteria, plants, and animals. Now, nitrogen is critical for making amino acids, and amino acids are important for building proteins. The nitrogen gas that's found in the atmosphere cannot be used by plants or animals. Through a series of steps, bacteria are going to convert the nitrogen gas into a form that the plants can use. So if you look at this picture over here, this is a root system of a plant. Those little nodes that you see are filled with bacteria, and they are going to convert the nitrogen into a form that plants can use. Now, animals are going to receive the nitrogen that they need by eating the plants. And then bacteria are going to recycle the nitrogen, returning it to the biosphere. Now, in the next couple of slides, you're going to see some videos about the nitrogen cycle and a diagram for the nitrogen cycle. Make sure that you review those.